Today we have a story of the journey of a little girl from Sangli who went on to lead some of the finest development projects India has produced. One of the most decorated IAS officers, Miss Ashwini Bhide, has definitely been at the forefront of India's development journey.
This project was something which was cutting across the entire city.
You call it Mumbai belly.
Mumbai's underbelly. And I had mentioned that it is like doing a open heart surgery without giving anesthesia. I personally feel that government should not only survive by the weight of their sheer power. They should survive and grow with their customer centric approach.
If there is somebody willing to drive it with this level of honesty and transparency, the government is also willing to
certainly
back you
yes.
and allow you to do it.
Administration is all about people management. Then slowly I realized there is something which is called empathy, something which is called sympathy, which goes beyond your very straitjacketed rules.
So today, what will be your advice for a woman navigating her, work and life, her career? Welcome to the VWomenProject. Today we have a story of the journey of a little girl from Sangli who went on to lead some of the finest development projects India has produced, is popular today as the managing director of the Mumbai Metro Rail Corporation, which is acclaimed for its Mumbai Metro Line 3 or the Aqua Line. That has got her the name that we fondly refer to as the Metro Woman by building 400 plus check dams, spearheading the Eastern Freeway, the monorail, the coastal road projects in Mumbai, and driving a lot of education sector reforms with Saral. Miss Ashwini Bhide has definitely been at the forefront of India's development journey. One of the most decorated IAS officers, she's the first rank holder among women of the 1995 batch. It's an absolute honor and privilege to have you, ma'am, with us, sharing your journey. Ma'am, you are an inspiration to women across the country, and so grateful to have you on our podcast. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
So following the construct of this podcast, ma'am, just want to go back a little to understand about your childhood, where you grew up. How was it in those times?
I come from a middle class family, and I grew up in various districts and tehsil places in Western Maharashtra. My father was working with State Bank of India, and his was a transferable job. So generally he would get posted in a tehsil level place. So I studied at multiple places, and these are mainly from Sangli and Kolhapur district of Maharashtra. So I was born in Sangli as such. Then immediately we moved to a place called Karad, then to Tasgaon, then a place called Jaisingpur in Kolhapur district. These were small places. But the most important thing was the schools which I was admitted to. These were all the vernacular medium schools, Marathi medium schools, but they were run by very good educational institutions, because Western Maharashtra has a tradition. In fact, the entire Maharashtra has that tradition from that perspective, that many educational institutions were set up during pre-independence era by the people who were really devoted to national cause. And I studied in few of these institutions. So the education was good. The teachers were very dedicated, and my family has a lot of emphasis on academics. So my mother, though she was not a graduate that time, but she studied up to second year of her BA. She had to leave because there was no one to guide further. She even tried to do a job in Mumbai, but she got married and she had to leave that. But she always inspired me, encouraged me to go into higher studies, and academics was always of importance. So a lot of emphasis on books, So since childhood, on every birthday or whatever occasion I used to have, my father would get storybooks.
Oh,
So I had a
wow.
good collection of books since then. So it was a very simple life, and this is how all other surrounding families and my friends were. In few places we lived in that Vada Sanskriti, what we called. So is a place where there is the owner is there, and there are multiple families who live there on rent. So that is a very typical of Maharashtra, and we used to stay in, because my father's job was transferable. So we used to shift from one place to another, but the overall environment around was always very encouraging, cohesive, progressive, and everybody would give a lot of importance to education and other activities. So this is how it was. So that actually grounded me.
Right,
So
right.
in these small towns, there always used to be some this libraries,
Local
which would run
libraries, is
local
it?
libraries,
Okay.
and I used to be a very regular member.
Okay.
And I remember during my vacation, every morning and evening I used to go to get my books changed. Then newspaper used to be a phenomena, like Maharashtra Times, which was the leading newspaper then also. Even in those places, we never used to get it in the morning because it would come from Mumbai, and we used to get it in the evening.
Right.
But still, this was a practice in the house that you read newspaper. And I passed out my 10th at the age of 15. So by then I was reasonably well read, and I used to participate in debate competition. And overall academic record was good. So the school teachers also used to encourage to do various participate in various extracurricular activities. I was a good sportsman too till my school days. Later on, I didn't pursue because I was an athlete and a very good kabaddi player.
Oh.
But after that, and I didn't pick up any other individual games. So later on, I didn't pursue it. But the school days or the childhood was a very happy childhood, very simple, very good kind of sanskar, what you call.
Yeah, I was just
So,
getting
and all the simple values of life, that you do good, you have good intentions of whatever you are doing, don't fall in wrong this thing. So these were the, like any other middle class Maharashtrian family of that era in those places. So we were like.
Right. Fascinating. Ma'am, you've consistently been a merit rank holder and I think excelled in education. Who guided you? Who mentored you in that period of time? What made you dream of something much larger?
I think I can't pinpoint one single person, but I had there were many. Like the main mentorship came from my home, my parents, and especially my mother, who always encouraged to do well in academics, and then all my teachers. So because I changed from my first standard to 10th standard, I must have been in 4 schools. So everywhere, because since I was otherwise also academically good, the teachers, all my subject teachers, everybody used to encourage. At the age of 15, when I passed out 10th, actually in that area, in that part of the state, which was semi-urban, semi-rural, so the general practice was, if you are a bright student, then either opt for engineering or medicine. Unfortunately, none of our family members were in engineering field. My parents, my father was a banker, some other uncles, they were either bankers. Only one doctor, my mother's cousin was a doctor, he had done it from Mumbai. So that was the only, I would say, what kind of career path you can take. So these were the only options. So just being a graduate, that was the minimum kind of a qualification which we used to have. But somehow I was not very fascinated by the medicine career, and I didn't know much about engineering. But I had a great love for literature, maybe because of my liking for reading from the childhood. So I always had great love for literature. I used to read a lot. So somehow I thought I will opt for literature. That's what I was thinking, that I will do either English literature or Marathi literature. And at that time, when I was in my grandparents' place, which we used to go every summer, every vacation, summer vacation especially, an uncle of my mother's who used to work in Mantralaya as under secretary that time, he was visiting, and then he talked to me about this IAS. For the first time, I heard of that service, because he used to work with many IAS officers, and especially lady IAS officers, because his boss was then Mrs. Ranjana Sinha, who is a very well-known retired IAS officer of Maharashtra. He used to talk about her. And then he said, why don't you, pursue this? If you want to do literature, then you can have the education of your choice, but this could be a very good career option for you. Now I didn't know about it at all. He also couldn't guide me, of course. What exactly is it? But I thought, let us plunge into it. So I would say this was a combination of people who guided me throughout my academic career. This was combination of certain events, and sometimes if certain things are going to happen in your life, then things fall in that manner. So this is how it happened. So I didn't know, so I plunged into it without having any knowledge of what exactly is Indian Administrative Services and what I am supposed to do about it. But I thought, okay, let us see. As I go along, if I have the determination, then I will certainly get more knowledgeable about it, and this is how it happened. So later on, when I was doing my second year of English literature in Sangli, and that time when I was in second year, another uncle of mine who was a professor of English in Kolhapur. So one day he called me and he said, a student of his who has got into IFS, Indian Foreign Service, and that time he was posted in Moscow, and he was to come to visit his place during vacation, and he was to visit him. So why don't I go there and meet him? And that time there were no telephones. This is, I think, must be 87. At least our house didn't have a telephone. So he had written to me a letter, and then I went to Kolhapur to meet him. And this person was Mr. Dnyaneshwar Mule, who is now, I think he just retired as member of the National Human Rights Commission. But before that, he was in India's Foreign Service. He was in MEA, and he enjoyed various positions as ambassadors in different countries. So he was the one, and he came from a very small village of Kolhapur district. He was a farmer's son, but he had that ambition, and he passed this exam in 1983. And since then he was
in the service
there. So that was the first instance where I could have a direct kind of interaction with a person who had appeared for civil services and succeeded in it. So he, and that, I think that
was a turning point.
Kind of. So he told me how the exam is, what should I do, and where I could get guidance, because that was as you can, it was an era, pre-internet era, pre-telephone era. We didn't have books in that part of the city. Nobody knew what kind of exam is this. So he also informed me about the State Institute of Administrative Careers, SISC, which is there in Mumbai. So he said I should try to get into it at some point of time, so that I get to know how we can prepare for the exam. And that was the basic guidance which I got, and that encouraged me a lot. And after that, by the time I completed my BA English literature, from that area, a few students or a few young people had got into IAS. Mr. Bhushan Gagrani, who is today the Municipal Commissioner of Mumbai, he is also from Kolhapur, and he got into IAS at 1990 when I passed my BA. So then you realize that yes, it is possible, and many people from this area, just like us, if they are on track, if you study in a proper way and you are well guided, then you can crack this exam. So this is how things, as I said, destiny took me here. Then after completing my BA, I thought I should now move on, and because in Sangli itself won't help me.
So
But
BA you did in Sangli.
in Sangli from Millingdon College,
Okay.
and that was also good. It was a good college. I had again good teachers,
Mm.
and I did well. I was first in the university in English literature. But then I thought I should go to some bigger place. I had never been to Pune before that. I had only been to Mumbai once. So I thought Pune is still a better place where I can manage myself. Mumbai was always scary even then. So I went to Pune. I took admission in the English literature department of Pune University. And there again, because since it was a bigger place, and by that time Pune University had started a center for civil services, and they used to run some evening classes.
Okay.
So while I was doing my English literature, I attended a few of them just to get an idea of how the exam is, what's the nature of the exam, where I can find the literature or the books for that. And slowly, once I was in that environment, then many people I could connect to who were preparing for the civil services exam, and this is how I moved on. So there was not one mentor, but there were many people who contributed to this decision and helped me, achieving my dream. Yeah.
Understand. So you were alone in Pune, ma'am, when you moved
I was
for
in
your
a
masters?
hostel. Yeah,
you
I was
lived in a hostel.
university hostel. I had a very good team of friends,
Okay.
and everybody and everything, and because every day was a learning.
Right.
Because living in a small place, doing well, that is one thing. But when you go to a bigger city with much more mature people who know better than you, you compete with them, you learn from them, you exchange ideas with them.
Yeah.
So that is grooming,
Right.
I would say. So
Right.
a lot of things I learned during my stay in Pune University.
So two things I wanted to ask you around this. One is, since you've been a merit rank holder, and I see a lot of top bureaucrats having very strong academic background as well. So is that a prerequisite for services? Is it like
No, not at all.
To crack the examination?
Not at all. Because if you see the qualifying criteria, it is just you need to be a graduate, and they don't even expect that you should score, beyond certain things. When a basic graduation is good enough. So your past academic career is that way not a prerequisite. But what is a prerequisite is your inclination to study intensely, your inclination to understand things, your propensity to go deeper into things. So that is what is tested later on.
Okay.
And your ability to absorb multiple things at the same time. So if you see the nature of this exam, there are these general studies, and there are multiple subjects which you need to cover.
Correct.
Whether you have specialized in any particular subject, but you need to have the basic understanding of all other areas also, because this is a generalist service. So not necessarily that since your childhood you need to be a good student, but at some point of time you need to be a good student.
Okay.
So there are many people I know that they didn't take their studies seriously till probably they graduated, but originally they were good students. They might have neglected certain things, but later on they picked up and they studied very hard, and they have cleared the exam. But if you are academically good, that would always help you.
Okay.
And that would keep you focused. And because a lot of things, when you are academically good, a lot of things you have already learned.
Right.
You know your basics, your foundation is very strong. And then your efforts for the exam, they are always in proportion with whatever you have already studied.
Right.
So having a good career is good academic career till you give your exam, though it's not a prerequisite or essential thing, but it would always help.
Be beneficial.
Yeah, it is
to do that. Ma'am, I'm going to touch upon the first rank among women in the 95 batch. That must be a phenomenal achievement at that point of time. and with very little resources, as you explained. Today there is a lot more awareness, lot more
Yes.
knowledge, but still, if you have to crystallize maybe one or two points going back to your own study preparation or whatever, what will it be? What sort of advice will you have?
I think when we were preparing, I was preparing. Being a rank holder or getting the first rank was never a dream. Just clearing the exam, because it is one of the toughest exams. So passing every stage of that exam. There was a prelim, then there were mains, and there was an interview. And at every stage, if you don't clear it, you have to start from the scratch again.
Yeah.
So that itself. So I never thought of the entire exam as a whole. Every stage, like first the prelim. So you, and the style of preparation also used to differ depending on which exam you are preparing for. So prelim would always have different requirement. So every time I used to focus on that
if you can
particular
just
exam.
Very briefly, like prelim, what will it be?
In that time, the prelim exam used to have one general studies paper and one optional subject.
Okay.
So I had history as my optional and general studies. So general studies would have, it will have the coverage of all, like even history would always be also be part of general studies. Then science and technology, geography, economics, constitution, politics, then some political tidbits, the current events, all those things used to be part of that. And history would be the entire history, right from ancient, medieval, and the modern history of India, and of course the world. So there we used to have this multiple choice questions. We didn't have any negative marking that time, but there were two papers, and the study, the way you study was different, because there were multiple choice questions, and there was no you don't have to write long answers. So what you need to know is the actual lot of factual details. Okay. Because the multiple choice questions also used to be very very baffling, because all replies would look the same, sound similar. So you need to have the specific answer. Right. So the style of preparation for that kind of exam was different. In mains, you have to have write long answers. So first you need to have that ability to write, and that in a very crystallized manner, because you have there was always a word limit for each answer. And in UPSC, the questions would never be straight. Okay. There would always be some kind of a combination, and you have to think about it and what exactly being asked, understand the crux of it, and then write. So you would need time, and then you are running against the time, because you have to finish certain things during time. So there the preparation was different, and interview, of course, again the preparation was different. Right. So I would always think at that point of time that which exam I am preparing for, then prepare according to that. Right. Then give your prepare with lot of intensity. Don't and focus on certain books. No need to read from this book and that book. So just focus, choose right kind of books and focus on them. Study in detail. And I had the habit of taking notes. Okay. Because I would take notes in my own way. And then refer them as we go closer to exams. But everybody would have different styles. Another friend of mine, she just used to read, and that used to
just
be
go out there. And so. Right. From literature, you studied English literature, and you also did Marathi
later on. Yeah,
Marathi literature also. So my question is, how did it help in the services? Is a lot of at least my belief as a complete outsider is that art subjects, etc., is very favorable when you want to write the UPSC exam. While there is engineering and all that, but it's always preferable to go in depth with some subjects.
I think that was the understanding at that point of time, because many people who cracked exam before me, most of them were humanities. They opted for humanities subjects, even though they were from different backgrounds. I thought I liked literature, so I opted for literature only as my subject of graduation, and then gave the exam. But when I actually cracked the exam, we went to Mussoorie, and then I realized that was not the thing now. Things have changed. and 50% of my batchmates, they are from engineering backgrounds. Half of them, they are from IITs.
Okay.
The remaining 50% would have doctors, lawyers, management graduates. So the share of humanities students was not more than 7-8%.
Okay.
So not necessarily you have to be a humanities student. In fact, many professional graduates crack the exam in a much better way, because probably the science subjects or mathematics was very scoring for them, and that is how they did. I don't know what exactly is happening today, because I am not keeping track, but it doesn't matter which subjects you have graduated in. But I would say one thing: being a literature student has helped me in administration in a different way, because when I did English literature in Pune University, so I studied a lot of great authors. European literature was part of my studies, right from Dostoevsky to Ibsen to American poets, Shakespeare. So many people we studied at depth, and that helps a lot, because in literature, when you study, you do a lot of linkages, you do analysis of the plot, the character, what kind of theme is there, and one good book or good piece of literature always reflects the zeitgeist of that era.
Yeah.
So you would see that is the same thing which is happening in other sectors also.
Right.
So maybe Renaissance, Reformation, the modernism. So it's a good piece of literature would connect you to whatever is happening in that era.
Yeah.
So when I studied for my literature, English literature, and later on Marathi literature, because my optional subject was Marathi literature for UPSC. So I studied the history of literature, both for English and Marathi, and that was like studying history of that whole era.
Right.
And that helps you understand how society functions, how society reflects in various, the changes reflect in various walks of life. And that gives you a good understanding of how society functions, which helps you in your administration.
Right.
So in any like district, when I was posted in Kolhapur district, in Sindhudurg district, or in Nagpur later on, so I would always think of the district in a larger perspective. So what is Sindhudurg? It is part of a Konkan region, but Sindhudurg has on social elements, Sindhudurg was much ahead of than any other district.
Right.
So all these things would come to your mind.
Right.
Then you understand what kind of society that is. So
Right.
the kind of people you interact with, why they behave in a particular way.
Right.
Why people from Vidarbha, when I went to Nagpur, they behave in a particular way.
Right.
What are the linguistic differences? What is their understanding? So I think your study of literature helps you having those insights in a much better way. That's what I feel at the hindsight.
I think you maybe also have a mind that kind of connects the dots so beautifully. So that's your superpower.
So it helps understanding the people, the understanding why they talk to you in this manner, what are their expectations, their aspirations, and that has helped me in all my postings, I guess.
And you've done so much work around people. I think in every
administration
role,
is working with people. You can't work in silos. You have to meet them, interact with them, understand. Sometimes people get angry. You have to, bear with that. And so administration is all about people management, and so are the projects.
Right. So, ma'am, parallelly, what was happening on the family side? Like, how did you meet your husband? How did
I joined in 95. My husband Satish is my batchmate. We knew little bit about each other in the preparation phase, not much, but I met him in Mussoorie, and then in 99 we got married. Initially we were posted in different districts. Then we requested for a posting together, since it was a bit difficult that time to get it in district places. So a bit prematurely we came to Mumbai. Where there are many posts, and it was easy for us to get posted at one place. So I came as the deputy secretary to the governor, and Satish that time was posted in Mantralaya for a few months. My second child was born in when I was in Rajbhavan. Then Satish had very heavy postings. While Rajbhavan was for me a bit cool place with my, as I could see my children growing. I completed my tenure in Rajbhavan, then I moved out, and then my job became pretty demanding and intense.
Right.
But by that time, the children grew up, and of course, my family and extended family was always there to support. But this is how on the family front things kept happening.
So but very courageous of you to have taken that call at that point of time, right? To step into Mumbai.
That time it was courageous or not, but I can tell you one thing. My CEO Zilla Parishad post, which is also district posting, though not a collectors, it's a one step junior. Maybe people first become CEOs and then they move as collectors. So that post, I did 2 stints of CEO Zilla Parishad, one at Sindhudurg, which is a Konkan district, completely different flavor of administration, and then I moved to the other part of the state, that is Nagpur, again a completely different flavor of administration. But that stint was so satisfying for me because it was like running the whole government in a district. It is a microcosm of the state level activities, and every department was there, and I really took a lot of interest. And that post itself was so fascinating for me because every sector, right from primary education, primary health, nutrition, village roads, district roads, then irrigation, micro irrigation, so many things, water supply, and so many things we could do, even animal husbandry. And everywhere in every field, I could do something which made an impact, and I could see the district performance changing. My team, I could motivate them beyond the limit, and that was a very, very encouraging kind of a scene. And I thought my propensity is towards developmental administration rather than a regulatory administration.
Understood.
So CEO Zilla Parishad was that kind of a post,
right,
where you won't find the power of the collector, but you would find a variety of activities and deep impacting activities where you really do good. Then it really makes a difference. So I think I enjoyed that, and that is what probably made me think that I already done my district posting, and then for both of us, family always would come first. So career is one thing, but being with each other, being with our kids was the priority. So later on, we thought that we might have deviated from a career bureaucrat's path, but it doesn't matter because finally, what matters in life is happiness. And something, and in IAS is such a service that whichever post you work on, you get an opportunity to impact lives, to influence lives, to influence the area around you and help hundreds of people to make a change. So if that is the case, if every post can allow you to make that impact, then it doesn't matter which post you are working on.
Yeah.
So that time I didn't think that it was a courageous decision. We went along with the flow, but our conviction was there. So whatever we thought that these are the values which we are following, or these are the objectives of our lives, then it didn't put any second thought in my mind. So I never thought that I have missed something by not opting for a collectorship or a division commissionership, or deviating from a standard path. So
yeah,
it works both ways.
It works both ways.
Yeah. And when you change the path, then something else is always waiting for you.
Yeah.
So this is how I got opportunity in urban infrastructure sector, which I had never thought of. So I think I at least that is what I do. I take things as they come my way. I don't try to plan how my career would be, and I like those getting what is there in your future. So I like that anticipation
waiting for
and
it to
that
open
waiting
up.
for it.
Yeah, beautiful. So, so how was the stint at the governor? Working with the governor, you were the joint commissioner.
Yeah, I went as the deputy secretary. Then I
Okay.
became joint secretary to the governor. Normally, governor's post is a ceremonial post which has certain constitutional responsibilities, which are very crucial. But it's not a field posting where you do certain things. But somehow, in Governor of Maharashtra has some special powers under Constitution, Article 371. B, I guess, if I'm remembering correctly. Maharashtra, as you know, is made of three different regions. So Western Maharashtra was part of the Bombay region. Then Central Maharashtra, which is Marathwada, which was part of the Nizam state, and the Eastern Maharashtra, which is Vidarbha, which was part of the Central province. So when the linguistic kind of formation of state happened, that time these were Marathi speaking areas, so they were brought together. But people from Vidarbha and Marathwada always thought that Western Maharashtra, which was part of the Bombay state then, would kind of overpower them, and they would be neglected in the process of development. And because of that feeling, that time there was an amendment in the constitution made in 1949, I guess, where this article was inserted, and governor was empowered to ensure that equitable development takes place. So wherever there is a feeling among these regions that they are not getting equitable share in the overall state's budget or planning process, then governor would step in. He would issue directives to the government and ensure that the budgetary allocations are equitably distributed. And this power of the governor was there. It was never invoked. But in 80s, I think late 80s, there was a feeling among both these regions that this power should be invoked, otherwise the region should be separated. So the unanimously the Maharashtra legislature made that resolution that yes, these powers of governor should be invoked, and it was sent to central government. So then the governor office started working on it. So this post of mine was deputy secretary development boards. So the development boards were set up for the rest of Maharashtra, for Vidarbha and Marathwada. The relative levels of developments were assessed, and then the actual calculation was done that how much is the backlog, and that backlog, how much is it across sectors, right from education, irrigation, agriculture, and then it was realized that irrigation and agriculture are two major sectors where this backlog is there. And it was actually quantified by various committees of great economists, and that data was there with the governor's office. And our role was to bridge the gap, to reduce these levels of development, the gap in the development. And then we used to direct the state government. But the era when I was there, it was politically very volatile area, and there would be a lot of pressure from the political leaders from the rest of the Maharashtra to basically find a way to deviate from these directives. And we had to really work hard, stay firm that we can't do it. This is a constitutional responsibility. And myself and my bosses then, who were the secretary and as well as the governor, so that the base data I had to provide and be firm on certain issues. So we had some political altercations also with the political leaders, but they were also very understanding. They were there doing their job and we were doing our job. So that was a very, very different kind of posting, I would say. Today that is no longer required. So the governor office now doesn't dabble into this because
it is more
what was done in that decade, I would say, that really, and later on also for some time, that really helped. And today nobody talks about that these regions are less developed than the rest of Maharashtra, because we can see the equitable levels of development, and that gave me a lot of
Macro understanding.
micro understanding, lot of insights into policy making,
Yeah.
how to look at data,
Yeah.
and how to have those data driven kind of
Decisions.
insights,
Yeah.
and then take decisions. So that was and that was a very young age. I think I got those insights.
An early
And
stage of conflict resolution.
conflict resolution,
Hmm.
talking to people, and even though there was a potential conflict, but still not to get bogged down by that,
Right.
and be firm, because I had the constitutional power of the governor behind me.
I know.
So you can always, stand
Push yourself.
firm, push yourself. So that was a very good exposure.
Hmm. And then, of course, 2008, you entered the infrastructure
Yes,
space
space.
in MMRDA
Yeah.
at that point of
Yes,
time.
yes.
And then I think, history that Eastern Freeway and
Yeah,
all
those projects happened. Yes.
happened. But my question to you is, how was it in that era? In 2008, when all these development projects were just setting out and all of that.
I think my entry into urban infrastructure was a bit accidental. As I said, I came a bit early, and then what is the career graph? Hence,
Right.
because I had skipped my collectorship, I tried to get, but I couldn't. Then I received a transfer order from Rajbhavan, because I had spent almost 5 years there, and I was posted in BMC as Joint Commissioner. But for some reason, that order also got cancelled. So I was a bit, irritated, disappointed, because I had done my my kids were now grown up, and I was ready to take something on the field. But finally, government said, okay, you go to MMRDA. MMRDA already had, of course, Metropolitan Commissioner and one post of Additional Commissioner. And this was a newly created post, because by that time MMRDA had a very dynamic commissioner, Mr. Ratnakar Gaikwad, and he had taken up a lot of infra projects. So he thought only one additional commissioner that won't be able to do justice to this. So he created a fresh
one
post.
more.
And then I was the first incumbent on that post. I was asked to go there. Now my kind of area of infrastructure which I had dabbled with was the rural infrastructure. When I was CEO Sindhudurg and CEO Nagpur, I had worked, as you referred to this, check dams. So these were the Vanrai Bandharas which I had built, of course, along with my team when I was in Nagpur, and that was basically to take care of the micro irrigation in rural area. I had again, along with my team, done a huge number of Indira Awas houses, which was the housing scheme. Jawahar Wales, which was again the micro irrigation scheme of the government. Rural roads, lot of this rural infrastructure, which was a huge backlog of that, and many projects which were pending in Nagpur district. I had taken a drive and got them completed. So I knew how to get a project done. But urban infra is a completely different game altogether. And when I came to MMRD and took charge first time, and whatever subjects were entrusted to me, I saw that there were all these Eastern Freeway, Sahar Elevated Road, Milan ROB, Dahisar ROB, so many flyovers, so many skywalks, and lot of projects. Even a huge campaign for urban sanitation. We were to build some 40,000 toilets in entire MMR. So this was a completely new cup of tea for me. And
were you excited?
Yeah, of course I was excited, but I was a bit scared also. I said, whether I'm not an engineer, and I have not done this before. I don't have any experience of working in urban sphere. So whether I will be able to take this responsibility, whether I will be able to deliver. But then it was so much fun. It was so exciting, because when I started working and I interacted with my team, and I said, this is a great learning experience and an opportunity for me. So I started working on the building bricks of these projects, and going into details and how this is built. And then I realized that all the projects were there. Coconut breaking had happened, but the projects were stuck, because on ground it was really difficult to these projects. And the projects which I had to deal with they were of different variety, including first metro, monorail. So it was a mix of road projects, connectivity project, missing link projects, and elevated road projects and metro projects. So these are now specialized projects.
Right.
So first you need to know the basics of this, how they are built, and on top of it, understanding the ground situation, why these projects are not happening, and then to solve them. So I had to go in the problem solving mode, and to understand that, first I had to understand the projects. So I just sat down with my engineers, asked them to explain me in a layman's language what is pile foundation, what is pile cap, then what is pier cap, and what are those trusses, what is launching, what is segmental construction, what is in situ construction. So a lot of things, the basics I understood, and I tried to understand the challenges. So if it's an in situ construction in a city like Mumbai where you don't have that much space, then what are the difficulties?
Right.
And if it is segmental construction, then you have to find places outside where the segments are cast, and then they are brought. Then the transportation issues in Mumbai, there are restrictions on timings of heavy vehicles, then traffic management, then rehabilitation issues. So I just jumped into it, and it was I mean, I actually enjoyed every bit of it, because it was a completely new learning for me. And then I understood the nitty-gritties, sat with my team. Fortunately, I could motivate them, encourage them, and jointly we delivered almost all the projects. Even there was some basic rules were framed for R&R, the rehabilitation, because in India, urban projects were never thought of. Even the rehabilitation policies of the country or the act was mainly for the rural projects like dams or rural roads.
So
or rural
rehabilitation was only thought about from a rural standpoint.
perspective, because India's initial thinking was always, it was more rural. The rural bias was always there. For urban rehabilitation, there was no specific policy. In Mumbai, because of the MUTP project, which was funded by World Bank, so World Bank insisted that you can't just throw people out, because Mumbai, every inch of land is encroached. So you need to have a policy for their rehabilitation. So World Bank has forced kind of state government to make a rehabilitation policy. But naturally, a policy is not enough to cover all cases of rehabilitation.
Right.
So what happened in the first phase of these road widening and all MUIP and MUTP project, that worked, because these were linear kind of structures which they had to remove. But when you started doing this more complex project, the rehabilitation challenges became more and more complex. So what we did in MMRDA, and that was possible because of a very liberal boss like Mr. Ratnakar Gaikwad, or later on Mr. Asthana, Mr. UPS Madan, who gave full freedom for us to think through and come up with policies. And I would also say the state government also didn't the local representatives were also very mature. So whenever we found that certain rehabilitation cases were not fitting into the existing policy, so we would come up with a solution and make that as a policy. So this is how we kept on adding value to whatever already there and keep on building it. And because I, just to give you an example, when Milan Arubi, that rail over bridge, because before that the Milan subway always used to get flooded, and that was to be national news. When we built it, is just a 1 kilometer long bridge, nothing else. But there was not a single inch of land space, and there were on the road, existing road we had to build, so we need to widen that road a little bit. For that, I had to deal with multiple government agencies, including BMC. And then there were 300 to 400 structures. Some of them were residential, and a lot were commercial. And if you recollect, by that time there was there were marble shops, and they had very small shops, but they had occupied lot of area, which was of course not a legal or authorized occupation, but all these structures were protected structures. So now where to shift this marble market in Mumbai? So I had to take multiple meetings with them, convince them that what you are doing is an unauthorized way. So you can't expect that we rehabilitate you in the same way, but what we can offer you is a legitimate place of a smaller size, and you have to take your business outside somewhere. So then we went to BMC. We found some area in a BMC's market at Goregaon. We convinced them. It took a lot of time to get them. Then built galas for these people.
Shifted them.
So these are many such things which we have done, which shaped up the rehab policy.
Literally brick by brick. Literally brick by brick.
And that built. So one such project paved the way for the new project. And this is how we came from the smaller projects to bigger projects, to Eastern Freeway, Elevated Road, Monorail, Metro Phase 1, and now Metro.
Ma'am, after I'm hearing you talk, there are a couple of traits that seem to be common, at least in my understanding amongst achievers, is that entrepreneurial nature, like, picking up the undone, picking up something absolutely new and creating is one thread that's so beautifully standing out in yours. And the other is any job, big or small, done to a different level of perfection and passion. And this is absolutely fascinating in your journey. And can you, just talk to us about it a little?
No, I fully agree with you. If you really want to make an imprint, then you need to have that entrepreneurial streak in you. Because what do I mean by that? And you have also said that not getting scared of the challenges or a new field. So entering into it, taking a plunge and understanding that and doing it differently. And whichever job is given to you, at least in my case, I have seen whichever, I have never sought any particular job, any particular posting, but whichever is given to me, I try to make it meaningful. Because if you don't do it, then you lose the significance. Because when I was posted as Managing Director of Mumbai Metro 3 and given this Metro 3 Line 3, there was not even the office. I didn't have. When I came, I went to. I didn't have a office. I didn't have a vehicle. I didn't have a team. Very few people who were already working in MMRDA, they were given the additional charge and they were working, barring a few officers. So we found out the place. I made my initial office was just 1/4 of this place where I stayed for almost 2 years, but it didn't bother. Because IAS is always about aspirational. It's an aspirational thing that you have big office, big car, and big paraphernalia. But it didn't bother because I thought it was very challenging. And my seniors, out of very goodwill for me, they told me that why have you taken that post? You have so many other things, the established postings to do. Instead of it, why are you taking some such responsibility? And the project is already controversial. So much is being talked about it, and it is not going to happen anyway because it is so difficult. So why you want to get and in fact spend unnecessary these prime years of your career in this? But I thought no. I told them very politely, no, this is something which is very challenging, and if I can do it, then I would like to try. So that was there. Later on also, when I was moved out of this post after doing 5 years on some political altercation, but I was not given a posting for about 3-4 months. But that time COVID came and suddenly I was asked to go to BMC and take charge of COVID war room. So that was again a completely new thing. I had not worked in urban administration sphere. I had not worked in health. I was not aware what exactly is to be done because nobody knew. But we find a method in that madness too that time with the help of volunteers, with the help of fractal analytics, and so many other people and many volunteers who came to work, and they were all good engineers and good managers. And we set up that war room. No regular BMC official was there with us because they were all busy on the field, and we see how we can make good use of data. We got the raw data, analyzed it, and then made plans for BMC. Most of the BMC's decisions were based on these data-driven insights, and that is how BMC did a wonderful job. So we set up war rooms at each ward, and BMC did a fabulous job. So that was again, I mean, I don't have that fear of unknown. In fact, I would like to embrace that, because I think that that is always an opportunity to do something better. And for me personally, it is an opportunity to learn something new, and which makes your personality, you know, more
Stronger.
grounded, stronger, more confident. And this is how I have seen taken this. So instead of and I think in the hindsight I see it is always, I have been always, it is my natural propensity probably to take an unbeaten path, and many people must be doing it, and that helps you a lot. So that has helped me throughout my career, though most of these things happened unknowingly.
So after a point, if there was a tough problem to solve, then call Mrs. Bhide into it. Is that how
Yeah,
it happened?
It happens that way, because when I started working in MMRDA, and initially the projects, slowly the problems got unraveled, they got addressed, and I could continue to stay there for more than 5 years, because all my commissioners changed, but they wanted me to stay there because they thought that now I have got that knack of resolving these problems and completing the projects. So they insisted to government, and which was again a good opportunity for me to learn, because I could complete all the projects which I started. And this was an opportunity which was given by my superiors, by the government, because they understood that I could do it, and not because of anything, because by
Sure delivery.
by showing that I am ready to take that experience, take that challenge. And I didn't bother that my career would be very you know, single track, and an IAS officer who should have a well-rounded career with experience in different sectors. So that time I didn't bother. I don't know whether it is right or wrong even today, but I thought if I'm given this responsibility and I can render it properly, then I should do it without thinking of my own career.
It never bothered you in the mind?
No, it didn't.
It didn't.
I didn't.
Okay.
Because I think the happiness in delivering that particular job, in doing that job, not only delivering, doing that job, working with the team, understanding the hardcore technology, understanding the nitty-gritties of this issue, and then addressing those challenges, it gives me immense pleasure. And everything is a new learning thing for me. So I think that helps. So it is more than others. It is for me. It has always been a very great and pleasurable experience.
So I think focusing on what we get to learn from the job, how we can build our own personalities, you know, and our own knowledge base. So after you had graciously agreed to do the podcast, I listened to a lot of your, commentary on interviews and all that. And then, it hits you the level of work that has gone into this Metro Line 3, from funding to partnerships to contractors, to, so rehabilitation, and then the whole array shed, all of that happening in the background. It's just mind-boggling for a layman, So how did you personally, how did you prepare yourself for it, for this large-scale project management? What are the, key things that you decided to bring to the table?
I think the credit I would give to my previous experience and the learning which had happened in my MMRDA postings. And that time I knew that however challenging a task is, but if you approach it in a very methodical and systematic way, break it into various aspects, and then get right people to deal with that, then the problems get solved. That was my experience earlier. So when I joined, we were just 10-15 people that time. Then I had to build a whole organization, get right people for the right job, and then move along. But I never thought that this is impossible because of my previous experience. So that was one
Which
thing.
Also you didn't think was impossible. At any stage you don't think?
No, never. But that was probably out of ignorance, because I was new to that sector and things kept happening, and then I learned slowly. But when I came to Metro 3, I knew that it's a difficult project. It is just not possible to do it if you take it casually. But if you really decide to work hard, and fortunately, some of my colleagues who had worked on that project before that, they had also done a lot of hard work, structured the project in a particular way. They had put some vision for the project. My job, when I saw that, I should understand what they thought of, what was the vision, how the project is structured, and then actually hit the nail on the head so that the problems are solved. So we started building the teams. Some of my team members who were there earlier, they also joined us from other postings. They came on deputation, and then we started working. And it was like a garage company in the beginning. So we used to sit in that earlier office where just a big hall, nothing else. We'll just put, and we used to discuss a lot. We did a lot of site visits, understood the problem, and then, as I said, we framed the policies to suit the problem. So we didn't look for the answers in the already existing system. So we worked out solution commensurate the difficulty and intensity of the problem, and then wrote policies along that, went to our board, took necessary approvals. Fortunately, this is a 50-50 JV company of Government of India and Government of Maharashtra. It's run by all officers. Chairman is Secretary Government of India, and they empowered the managing director fully. 100% empowerment was there. Board has whatever was the project, all powers were with me. Of course, I always took the guidance of the board members, especially from the state government senior officers. But since the power of decision making was there, I was not scared of taking decisions, which happens in our service because of the nature of the service, so many problems people face later on. But I always thought, if I do things honestly, transparently, and with good intention, I can take any decision, which will stand to scrutiny anytime that scrutiny is done, and that is how we could build the project. So,
and what's coming out very clearly is that if there is somebody, willing to drive it with this level of honesty and transparency, the government is also willing to
certainly
back you and allow you to do it.
Certainly, government does it. Your bureaucracy supports it. Society supports it, and people do understand, because this project was something which was cutting across the entire city.
You call it Mumbai belly.
Mumbai's underbelly. And I had mentioned that it is like doing a open heart surgery without giving anesthesia. So you can imagine the kind of intervention which we are doing in the mid of the city. Every 1 kilometer we are building a huge station, and lot of disturbance. But this is what is needed, because this is an investment in future.
Yes.
So today, if you don't build it, the city won't have anything to look forward to hold on to. So it was needed to be done. But I knew that people's lives were going to get disturbed. So naturally, we have to be, again, very honest about it, very transparent. And that is how the social activism on social media, because underground projects are not visible. People can't see what is happening.
Right.
So our official Twitter handle was there. But I thought that time that sometimes the distant official Twitter handles don't give that confidence to people.
Correct.
Because they always feel that somebody is
posting on behalf of someone,
and somebody is, just it's a kind of an eyewash. So I thought I should myself make use of it. So while we had an official Twitter handle, I used my personal Twitter handle to disseminate information to people, giving them confidence that what we are doing. I was not supported by any PR agency. I was doing on my own. I made some mistakes also sometimes because I didn't know the very diplomatic language of but I learned on the job. But that was liked by citizens, because then they thought there is a face to whatever we are doing, and somebody is responsible, and somebody whom we can ask questions, and these questions are getting answered also. So people did suffer through that, but they helped us, they cooperated with us. There were many activists outside, they had issues, but common people with whom we worked, irrespective of their background, irrespective of their level of understanding, their academic, they supported us because of this transparency. And we kept on providing information, and you won't will be surprised. On my Twitter personal messages, I used to get thousands of messages, people having, because see, you you give your contact number, our portal is there, but then again people see who will reply
Respond.
me back,
Who
who
will
will respond. Here there is a face, so I would write. And what I used to do, the moment if I could reply them immediately, this is the information which I had, I would. Otherwise, I used to share it with my team. The team would go on the ground, meet that fellow, contact that person, inform him what is happening, understand his problem. So this is how we did. And the same thing I continued during COVID also. In COVID war room, because I was posting a lot of information on Twitter, people used to send messages to me on Twitter even in the night. Every day I used to stay till late night. Somebody is not getting bed, somebody is getting stuck somewhere, somebody needs some information. And I used to either give information on my own, or I used to share with our ward level teams, and people would be contacted by them. So I think this kind of
Service
administration,
mindset. Service mindset also very strongly.
So I thought, had it been a very good, responsible corporate company, and these are their consumers, then how would they treat them?
I was just going to bring in
So
consumer
this
centricity.
this has always been my thought behind this. And in BMC also, when I was working, I used to tell my people the same thing, that they are your consumers. And you are in a different role, but a company would not let their consumers to stay high and dry. They will give them information, and it is your bounden duty to inform them properly and assist them, help them. So if you keep this approach in administration, so despite all difficulty, challenges, I think you will be able to solve a public problem. That has been my approach, and that has been my team's approach also. So anybody can contact. We get a phone number. Our team goes, reaches back to them, get there. Sometimes the issues are solved. Sometimes the issues are not solved because certain things are beyond us. But people like to be, answered. They need to be contacted because they matter, and we should make them feel that they matter, and which is true.
Beautiful, because even in a corporate setup, like you rightly pointed out, it's all about customer centricity.
Absolutely.
When we start forgetting what our core customer need is,
then the business
slowly doesn't.
Government doesn't, because government stays there.
Yeah.
But I personally feel that government should not only survive by the weight of their sheer power, but they should survive and grow with their customer centric approach, with their development centric approach. Yeah.
Great, ma'am. So whenever we talk about I'm going to meet the Metro woman, there will be 5 people saying, ask her this, ask her that, sort of a thing. So I have 2-3 questions on that side. One is, of course, it's a state-of-art experience. I took the Metro Rail myself some time back, and I think it's absolutely something that we haven't experienced in India so far. So kudos to that and congratulations. The 2 things is that, lot of development that's happening in the Mumbai city is being head by multiple organizations. So sometimes, the last mile and weaving it together and things like that, will it not be beneficial to have one civic body overlooking the whole thing? Is one?
Ideally, yes, but it is not practical because everything has a legacy, and Mumbai's different institutions have a long legacy, and they have played a certain role in certain era, and that is why they are there. So that is why ideally, yes, there has to be one agency, but even if it is not there, it doesn't make a difference so long as all these agencies work together, have a common approach, have a good interaction and cooperation and coordination among each other. That is little difficult, but it is not impossible, and it is happening also. It has not reached that stage of perfection, but it is certainly happening. So Metro, for example, the master plan is already there. All of us, though different agencies are working, they are working on that master plan. So we know which line is going where and how it is getting, where it is getting connected. Maybe we should do more efforts to ensure a ped-to-ped connectivity, but nevertheless we are in touch with each other, and we have been ensuring that this connectivity is happening in a seamless way. So but the point is it takes time.
Mm.
So today, and people expect that one line could make an immediate effect, and like a magic wand, the traffic on the road would go and everything would be shifted on the road. It doesn't happen. It's a process which evolves over a period of time, because people also need to change their route. The economy adjusts around the new modes of or nodes of transport.
Absolutely.
Mind you, all these projects are going to be there for next 100-200 years.
Yeah.
So we are investing into that, and the city is going to change. And once the a strong and robust public transport is the backbone of the city. Suburban line has provided us that, but that needs to enhance. That needs to be enhanced, improved also, better experience. So that is happening. So it's a matter of time, and people will see the change.
So, ma'am, in between a lot of these infrastructure projects, you also spent a couple of years on education. And I think in that period, you were the youngest secretary at Mantralia. Am I right in saying that?
I guess so, because I became secretary and immediately posted there. I did almost about an year-long stint in school education after my MMRDA stint, before joining Metro stint. So the government that time thought that I have done enough in physical infrastructure and I should do something for the social infrastructure. So I was posted there, and it was again a very amazing experience, because I had worked in education sector when I was CEO Zilla Parishad, and I had that love for the sector. And as secretary school education, I realized it's a very vast field, because that time almost I think there were 1 lakh schools in the entire state which were under the overall supervision of 5 lakh teachers, almost 20 million students, and different boards, different kind of styles of delivering education. So it was a very complex sector, but also very intriguing. Why complex? Because there were too many administrative issues in education, and as secretary school education, you have to deal with it. The teachers' problems, the infrastructure problems of the schools, and mainly the teacher-related problems, because there were certain acts under which the school education department works. These were old acts. They had put certain limitations. Lot of teachers associations. There were many representatives of teachers in legislative council. So they are very active. They all the time they would attract attention to the teachers' problems. And I thought the soul of the education system is somewhere missing, because the student is not focused at all. The quality of education is not focused at all. My predecessor had also worked a lot on those angles. So I took it from him, and then we started focusing on the overall quality education. Of course, it was not that easy to do things in a year's time, but then I thought, I am not going to reinvent the wheel, because there would be many persons in the education sector itself which are doing this job. The only thing is they are not known and they are not connected, because I knew that many of our teachers from Zilla Parishad schools were doing a fantastic job. And there were different disparate examples scattered all over the city. Some would run a 24/7 into 365 day school. The teachers used to stay in schools and they used to take care of children. They used to run a study room for them. Some were they were very, very progressive in their computer education, and they were trying to teach students. And these were out of their own volition. So I asked my people, let us find out such people, connect them. Then I also saw that there were a lot of NGOs who are working in this sector, very genuine NGOs. Some are only the CSR fronts of many corporate sectors, who want to do something good, but they don't know what to do. And it was mandatory for them to spend a CSR amount. But then I thought that these people who are donors and some NGOs who are actually doing a good job, but they are short of funds, how can I connect them?
Bring them both together.
How can I join the dots? So for the first time in Maharashtra, we brought a CSR policy for the state government. And even at actual ground level, we did lot of such matchmaking, joining the dots. I encouraged all those NGOs who were really working hard. Then we tried to change the way teachers are trained. Otherwise, it was a usual cascading mode of training. Then we brought some professional agencies in that, and a lot of good things happened. Again, brought transparency, how the grants are given to schools, policy level changes. It was a very, very hectic 11 months, I would say. And the department also gave me a lot of response. And then I realized that at times people are, you stereotype people, or they are stamped in a particular way. Like in Mantralaya, this is a department where people only litigate, teachers only crave about certain things, and they are more aware of their rights than their duties. And I said, these are all stereotypes. People need some motivators. People need some kind of role models, and they need encouragement. Otherwise, they lose their own originality and their ability to do good in their daily rut of things. And there are certain sectors where the rut is far more than others. They are not always exciting, and so people lose their their own ability to make changes. And that's what I thought that, and I said, if I start talking differently, I don't need to do anything. The people are already able enough, competent enough to bring these changes. So the education sector was such sector where I hardly had to do anything. I just need to bring people come out of their shells, come out of their routine day-to-day activities which were keeping them unnecessarily busy, and ask them to do their work in a much meaningful way. So that helped. But I moved out of that sector after some time.
But it's a beautiful thought.
Yeah.
You're just reminding them of their own superpower.
Yes. Because teachers are teachers.
Yeah,
so you can't tell them how to teach.
So in the corporate, we say, piercing the corporate wheel. So time and time again, from a problem perspective, you go into the person. And then you kind of see.
And these sectors, education, health, these are the sectors where person matters. Because the person who is delivering, that is the social infrastructure. So you need to take care of that person. You need to bring the best out of that person. It is not like building something new. So there the person matters. So one needs to understand the difference between these two sectors and probably change your working strategies. I can't apply the same rules which I would adopt while working in a physical infrastructure sector to an education sector.
Yeah, beautiful. So ma'am, I'd like to talk about 2-3 things from a challenges and diversity perspective. Just want to understand your views on the same. One is, in one interview, I just chance heard you talk about the glass ceiling. For me, as an outsider, I feel you've broken all the glass ceilings, and I think many people will agree with me on that. And you're a force to reckon with, and we all look up to you so much. But when did you feel that, a glass ceiling existed, or how did you navigate that?
Technically speaking, the Indian Administrative Service puts you in a much better level or framework in terms of gender equality, because you gave the same exam, it's a generalist service, and you are, all the women officers, though the number is still less, but they are the same force to reckon with than like their main officers. And in initial postings, you would always say that there is no, from government side, there is no differentiation as such. But when you actually work on the field, at times with the local political leaders or with the local society, at times there is a feeling that, we don't want to work with the women officers because that's not so easy to work with. So this is not a very common trait as such, but it is there. And there are certain posts which the political leadership, who are also in a decision making power or administrative heads, they feel that no, the women officers are not, they are very difficult to deal with.
Why do they use the term difficult?
Maybe for various reasons. Probably that gender difference, the way you talk to a male member of the society, and the way. So there may be a lot of the cultural baggage or the social baggage or from the background which they come from, that would be there.
Yes.
And it doesn't depend on whether they are an urban leader or a rural leader. It depends on
obviously on the individual.
Individual. In fact, Western Maharashtra is supposedly a very progressive area than Vidarbha and Marathwada. But my experience of working in Vidarbha was much different. There, the acceptance of women officer was much more natural, much more warm, much more welcoming. Whereas in a district like Kolhapur, it is a bit difficult because they would accept it, but there would be some kind of patronizing attitude which I had experienced. So that is why I call it glass ceiling. It is not seen, it is not visible. It doesn't stop you from growing, but it would keep it would keep piercing you, pinching you little bit. So myself as such has not experienced it too much because I kept to myself and I kept doing my job and I was not very demanding in terms of what posting I should get. But I have had these incidents or events, I would say, wherever certain posts which I was thought of, but then the local political leader has said, no, I don't want a lady officer. So I was not given. But fortunately, I skipped all that since I came to Mumbai. And Mumbai being a big mega city, these things don't matter here. But many of my colleagues, many of my other younger colleagues who work in the state services, they do experience this in terms of getting the postings, that certain posts are not, favored, not meant for women officers. So that is still there, but I think it will go slowly. As
you see the change
I
happening.
see, because there are now more number of women in the service. So even state service, Maharashtra government many years back had made the policy of 33% reservation for women, which had really made a difference. And at every level there are more number of women that what used to be, and many of them have gone now senior and they are promoted into IAS. So that number of women in the IAS also increase, the number of women in civil services increase, then automatically the approach to women officers would change, and I see that change now.
There would have been many points where you would have had to take hard decisions. You have to play a very tough role, if I may call it. You have to be soft and hard, bold but careful. So many dichotomy in the roles that you have handled. So how was that taken? How did you navigate it?
I think it depends on the situation and what exactly we have to achieve. For example, if a particular project or a particular program is to be done in a particular way, these are the certain rules, and but it is creating problem for certain sections. And that's why there is an opposition from that section. Even in districts, whenever I used to do something, this would happen. People would either directly come or they come through their political representatives. They would explain what their problems are. And if you see, first you need to be a good listener. You understand their problem, what exactly they are saying. And once you realize that what they are saying, there is a point in it. So you need to counter it. You need not be so stiff about that thing. Here you can bend little bit, you can change little bit, accommodate their request, and then move ahead. Sometimes even bending becomes too much, or sometimes people become too stiff for no reason. So I think that is the kind of judiciousness every officer needs to exercise. That where and for what cause. If there is some political pressure, some very powerful leader is asking you to change because his personal interests are getting hampered, and then you bend, it has no meaning.
Yes.
There you need to be stiff, but at the same time you need to see the same political leader, if he is your minister, he is the administrative head of the organization and he has a role to play, then you need to be more accommodative, receptive, because he, being the minister of the state, he is the administrative head of the department. And if he is asking you to do something, then you need to enlarge your outlook and then discuss that things instead of being stiff. But if so, there is very lighter, subtle degrees and variations in this, which you need to understand and pick up at that point of time. And there are certain things where somebody would come and say, so what is their role, the legal role in the administration? That is first thing you need to see. If the legal role is something which you can't challenge, even though what he is saying may be incorrect, but you can't challenge legally, then you should not. You should make all out efforts to explain that person that what he is saying is not correct and he need to change. You make your effort, but beyond the limit, if it is not happening, then leave it. So you avoid unnecessary conflict. Then second is, you also see that somebody is saying which is he doesn't have a legal role, but what he is saying is absolutely correct. It is in the larger interest. It is for the larger good. Then again you be receptive. You accommodate some of it. And then there would be a kind of protest which is neither legal nor correct. Where you can take a stiff stand, where you can take a tough stand, and you know what is the final objective and whether this objective is being achieved by this or not.
So does this happen as a microsecond reaction in your mind, or sometimes you just take some time off, think it through, and
I think you should not give microsecond reactions. That used to happen in our initial days. When I was in Jila Parishad Nagpur or Sindoor, I was still wiser, but in my first posting, somebody would say, like teachers transfers, we used to transfer. I used to do it in a very methodical way, systematic way. Somebody would come say, no, what you have done is wrong. This teacher needs to go here because this is her whatever local problem. I used to be very stiff because no, every person needs to be treated equally. So I can't make change for one person. Then slowly I realized there is something which is called empathy, something which is called sympathy, which goes beyond your very straitjacketed rules. And every person can't be fitted in that rule. So you please, if somebody is making you a request, please understand why he's saying. Maybe that women teacher, that lady teacher, having some family problems. And it is not possible for her to go that far. So I need to be more accommodating. At least I should understand the problem. Then I should see that she is not given undue advantage, but at the same time, her problem
handled
is
with care.
Handled with care. So that learning came over a period of time. And I then realized that there is a difference between war and a battle, and you can't take every battle like a war and fight. But I learned it very early. That's the most important thing. Probably I'm a good learner. So initial I had some problems. My seniors were also there to support me. Problems not big, but I had a fight with some political. And then I realized after some time when I thought it, how stupid I was, or how on such trivial issues I took up that fight. Then I changed myself, and then it's a mixture now. So as you say, over a period of time, with now 28 years of experience, I can even in a microsecond I can understand. I know the issue, but now I don't take decisions so fast. I don't react so fast. I thought on it. I think on it. I discuss, and then I talk to them. But this is a matter of learning, which
everybody
happens
has to go
over
through.
a period of time. Only thing is, you should be open to learning. Sometimes people keep committing the same mistake repetitively, which is not correct.
And they will say that this is my personality, or this is
You should not.
We cannot.
And as a public servant, that is not a correct way. That this is my personality. This is how I do things. No. As a public servant, you should be somebody like a water. You should get well mixed with this thing. You should not show such very staunch personality traits, because then you won't be able to solve the problems. You won't be able to do justice to your job, because your job is much wider, much larger, and the purpose is also, the objective is also very large.
I'm also enjoying the humility at display, because you're saying you learn. IAS officer gives you the power from day one, but still you say, I made mistakes, I went back and learned. So that's a constant journey that
is, isn't it? That is the main thing of IAS, because IAS is something which gives you not only the power, but ability to do so many things.
Right.
Not being, and which other service would have given me a job which would put me at the helm of urban infrastructure?
True. Absolutely.
So even if I had I been an excellent civil engineer, but
No
still
way.
I would not have got this opportunity.
Yes, yes.
This is what the service gives.
Right.
Service gives you such opportunity to do jobs in a much different way. They put you at such positions which nobody else could, get or even aspire for. Then you should make best use of it. You should just forget the power part of it and the
Focus
learning
on
part
the
of it,
impact.
the excitement
Learning.
part of it,
Yeah.
your ability to help people and create something beautiful, that part of it. So my focus is always on that because I'm really fascinated by that side of this job. So
Beautiful. That just shines out,
Yeah.
ma'am. That just shines out. One last thing around diversity before I move on. You spoke about women in services, but what about women in infrastructure? How have you seen that change in the last decade?
Women in infrastructure are still much less, the share of women, because many event also on infrastructure I see there are very few women, but women are there in the architecture
Yeah.
side, in design side there are many women, but they generally work at the background, so you don't see them visibly. In transport planning also there are many women and very active. Civil engineering or other engineering fields that way are very, very demanding, even physically demanding. And in terms of time, so we also had some young women engineers, and they have been working, but the number is less. I think the sector probably will have to make some efforts
Which
to be more accommodative, more encouraging to. So even in our sectors, I feel some women contractors or vendors, and few of them just met me 2 days back that they have supplied some particular kind of material which our station need, and they have done a fabulous job. But they say that they are not taken seriously because most of the contractors they take them lightly, and so that should not happen. So the gender should not be a criteria, because for me it's different because I am already at a higher position in a decision making process. But there would be many women entrepreneurs, many women vendors, suppliers. They would like to enter into this job, but unless the sector and people themselves, I mean, they should be, as I said, empathy and sympathy is something which everybody needs to inculcate. So the way they talk to them, it should be different. They should be more encouraging, and that is needed. I think some special efforts will
be required to build this out. I think we've had a lot of serious conversations, so I'm just going to indulge in a quick rapid fire where you can tell me what comes to your mind first. So, what is one book you recommend that we read before we die?
I think Gyaneshwari or Naneshwari by Santa Gyaneshwar. It is based on the Bhagavad Gita's philosophy, but still it goes beyond that. It is a bit difficult to read in its original this thing, but you can read along with because that Marathi is a bit difficult. But that is something which everybody should read. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Okay. What is one movie that you would have watched 100 times, 50 times?
There are many, but I like the movie which has made a large impact on me is the Schindler's List. I don't know whether I can watch it 100 times because it is very, very,
very dark and very deep.
But that is something which has made an impact on me. Yeah.
Okay. What is your personal mantra, man? Your daily personal mantra?
It's keep healthy and stay happy.
Okay.
So basically, keep yourself, follow a very healthy routine, and be very alert and happy.
Okay. If you weren't an IAS officer, what would you have been?
It's difficult to say. I mean, I can't think myself in any other field in IAS because I've been there. I've been thinking about it from age of 15, 17. Yeah. So it's been difficult.
What is the most fun part of your job?
Fun part is the actual field work. While on field and site visits, even from day one, all my posts at the site visits are
Twitter
something.
Posts, even we love to see it. Yeah, you wear your yellow hat,
and that has been. I've been doing it from my even SDO assistant collector days, because going on the field and understanding situation yourself is something which I love.
Grassroots understanding. Least enjoyable part of your work?
These days, some of the meetings, though I enjoy them also, but some meetings are really they
Become
get
long
boring.
and
Yeah,
boring.
long and boring. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
What do you do when you don't work?
I read, I listen to music, and I watch good movies or documentaries on OTT
Hmm.
and others. But reading and then spending time with my family. That is the most, because both of us that we are not very social. We are very limited friend circle, because whatever time you have,
I know
you
it's precious
spend
that you have to spend it
spend
with
with
each
each
other.
other. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite holiday destination?
Holiday destination. There are many in India.
Where did you go last? Maybe.
Of late, I have been traveling abroad because for work and because my kids are studying there. So there are many places. Europe, I love like anything because of its history and
Yeah.
charm.
Yeah.
In India, Munnar is my favorite place, and Himachal Pradesh. So Dalhousie in
Oh,
Himachal
it's beautiful.
is something which I really love, and we have had a very great holiday also there. So
One last question in this: how many hours do you sleep? Or when the project was going on, how many hours did you sleep?
no, anyway, these days, for some reason, maybe I have grown in age, but I sleep just maybe 5-6 hours, not more than that. But otherwise, I used to take a good sleep. But nowadays, maybe you think so much, the sleep has gone down. So 5-6 hours, that's all.
Okay. How do you keep on top of your health, ma'am? I think when I talk about health, I talk both about physical health
Yeah.
as well as mental health, because there's a lot of anxiety, lot of anxious moments in this whole field.
I think your basic physical health takes care of your mental health also. That's what I feel, because when you follow a very healthy routine, your food habits, your exercise routine, if you take care of that, then the anxiety also goes down. That's what I feel. I do pranayam sometimes. Of late, I mean, it's not very regular, but I do pranayam. But a healthy mind stays in a healthy body. That's what I feel. But if for sometimes it happens that because of very heavy routine, my exercise routine gets disturbed, and then I feel more anxious. So I think you need to follow very healthy
And
routine.
what do you exercise? What is your form of
It
exercise?
is it's a mix of everything. Previously, there was a time when I used to go to gym regularly or go for a walk on Marine Drive, but now it becomes very difficult because both of us, we do exercise at home.
Okay.
I do a combination of high intensity,
Right.
some weight, some Zumba, some
Lovely.
stationary jogging, and every day it is different. And YouTube is my favorite guide in that. But
Great.
it is very personalized, and depending on
That
what the
day.
body wants that time or what your mind wants, it's not hard and fast, but we maintain some basic routine. And food habits are also very healthy. I try to keep only 2 time a
Meal.
day meal, more proteinous meal. So that helps a lot. So this binging is avoided. Try to avoid. Yeah. So,
That's absolutely wonderful. But I think we all have to move in that direction,
yes.
given
Because health is finally going to be the
Yeah.
crux of the whole thing.
Yeah.
If you keep your health, because anyway longevity is there.
Yeah.
So you need to take care of your
Yeah, longevity is now a given. So we come to the last section of the interview, ma'am. Thank you so much for indulging us for so long. The question here is around ambition, and I've been asking everybody this: what role did ambition play in your life to bring you to this point? And can ambition and work-life balance and ambition and contentment coexist?
I think ambition has played a role in my life, but ambition not in the sense that I was too drive, I would say. If you call ambition synonymous to drive, then I had that drive to do something different.
How will you differentiate it in your mind, ambition and drive?
Drive is something which you pursue, but your end result is not very concrete. What you want. Ambition is something where you know your goal is fixed. That I have to grow my business. I have to earn this much money. I need to get this posting. So ambition has a more, the goals are very clear. Drive is something where you know generally what you want to do, but and you aspire for that, but you don't have very specific goals. So if those specific goals are not achieved, it doesn't matter to you. But the drive is the probably a more positive part of ambition. That's what I would differentiate.
Beautiful.
So I wanted to go in the IAS or whatever. I wanted to do something different. So which I thought that at that some 20, 30 years back, from a rural area, giving this tough exam and then going into service was something that drove
you.
But that was not my ambition because I didn't know what IAS is. I only thought of it as it's a very difficult exam to crack, and so if you know that this is what is today, probably people would know, and then if they have, then I will call that an ambition. And later on also, this drive always helped me that okay, I'll do something here, I'll do something there, but I never had the ambition of okay, I have to get this post.
Correct.
Then that becomes your ambition.
Yeah. And then that's counterproductive.
Sometimes it is counterproductive, but maybe for some profession, even that ambition is also very important. If you are an entrepreneur, you have to have that ambition. Because unless you have that very clear, crystal clear goal, you won't chase it.
Yeah.
You won't drive it. Just 2 days back, I watched a beautiful serial on this Brazilian car driver, Senna. Before Schumacher, he was and it's very beautiful. And I saw that all these seasons, he was so driven. He had that clear ambition of, and he did it. And from a background which otherwise this kind of
I haven't
car
watched
drivers
it. I
won't
don't know
come.
his background.
It's beautiful. The ambition part, the role it played in his life. Of course, he took it in a different level, in a very divine level. But that is there. So I think you need to have ambition. But the positive side of that ambition should be seen. It should not be taken to such extreme that it becomes counterproductive.
So you enjoy the journey. You have a goal, but you enjoy the journey.
Absolutely. I enjoy the journey, and that is more important. That is for everyone, I would say. Even some people, they have an ambition of going into IAS, they can't, because sometimes this is luck also plays a role. But the journey of that, I always tell people that once you take that journey, you would be a different person, much better than what you were, and you would be ready for taking any other job, even you don't get into IAS. Absolutely. So that the journey part is very, very important. I enjoy that journey. Yeah.
What about work-life balance?
Work-life balance, I ensure that I do. I don't take things extremely, and if you do your work smartly, you can
manage
have best of both. But of course, your family needs to be very, very supportive. So, and then you cut the clutter. In your personal life also, you keep on doing so many such things which are otherwise not required, and you spend unnecessary time in that. So instead you decide the priorities.
Core priorities.
And at what juncture of your life, what is important. So focus on that.
Right.
Just don't waste time on other things.
Right.
If you are in a phase where you need to rear your child, you need to give more time to them, then focus on that. Forget your social life, other social life that time, and then you can have a work-life balance. Then there is a phase. Today my children are studying, they are away. I'm relatively free, or maybe I'll give more time to my friends, to build my social network, to read more, to spend time with my husband, my extended family. So I think you have to choose wisely. You have to decide the priorities, and then you can do things smartly. And with your family members also, the chores of the household, even if you are in a whatever position you are, but still you have to do.
Yeah.
But then you can always distribute among yourself and give space to each other, give respect. That time, whose time is important, then accordingly you decide. I think it is not that difficult to have the work and life.
It is workable.
It is absolutely workable.
One observation I have with all the women IAS officers that I have seen is you'll have a particular poise, grace, a dynamic sort of communication style, and the saris. You know, that's like a uniform.
Uniform, yeah.
Are you all trained? Did Masuri train you for it, or how does it build?
Masuri trains you for certain things, but sari for women is an official wear, and salwar suits are also an official wear. But saris give you more grace, and people take you more seriously. Frankly, when in the young age, if you just go in a
True.
normal salwar suit, then people won't even realize that she is an
Yeah.
officer.
Okay.
And for me, sari is the most comfortable wear, because for years I've been using it. Though I am very comfortable in the Western and other Indian wear also, but sari is not a problem. And poise and this thing comes out of experience, because you deal with so many
People.
different situations, so many different people from all walks of life, like from the uneducated but wiser, to educated but probably
Oh my
different. So all kinds of people you meet, from farmers to the most I would say suave people. So this people watching, interacting with people, give you that depth in your personality.
So today, what will be your advice for a woman navigating her, work and life, her career?
I think first is trust yourself, have that self confidence, and just keep in mind that you don't need to choose. You can navigate. It's not a choice between a work and a family life. They should blend with each other, and so you should have that poise, that sense of balance, because both are important. Only being a very ambitious person in your career will give you something, but it is not the only way, because if life has to be rounded, life has to be fulfilling, then what matters is happiness. And happiness would come from the blend of both. Maybe there would be a time in your life where the career takes a larger role, precedence. But then engage with your family, make them aware that maybe these few years you will have to focus on your career, and they should bear with you and they should support you. But then there would be a time when you should give precedence to your family, and maybe go little slow on your work, and that choice you will have to make. But finally, it's a blend, and you need to have a solo ride also, but you need to have a connect with your people,
and eventually it all works out.
It works out. It works absolutely.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I can't express my gratitude enough for your time.
Thank you
and
so
all
much.
the
It was a
depth
lovely,
of your
lovely
conversation. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for listening to yet another wonderful episode from VWP. It gives us enormous pleasure to create this content for you. If you enjoyed listening to the conversation, please hit the subscribe button and do let us know your favorite moments from the conversation. We would also love to hear if you have any guest recommendations for us. Of course, please don't miss our shorts section where we have our favorite moments compiled in bite-sized formats for you. So keep listening, keep growing, and do subscribe to the We Women Project. This is your host, signing off. Thank you.